The order is gone. I was betrayed by the one I trusted most.
Hey troopers, thanks for coming back to another video. After watching the 9-minute gameplay release on IGN and the announcement of the delay for Star Wars Survival, I have some concerns about the game, and I wonder if you agree or disagree with me on these points. But before we do as Boba Fett did and dive into this monster, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And comment down below if you agreed or disagree, or you have some other concerns, or what else you're looking forward to on the release of Jedi Survival.
A Jedi.
Okay, first, let's talk about the good things. The visuals of the game are incredible. I mean, the graphics are great and on point, and the world looks fantastic, super immersive, detailed as far out as you can see. Both the planet side and galaxy exploration are two things that I'm looking forward to, and I'm hoping we have a little more than 4 planets to visit, but that's okay. It was a nice surprise to see the Trade Federation droids in the gameplay review, and oh man, with the Clone Wars voices, it's just great. I'm glad to see they kept the feature of the choice of handling with your lightsaber, either single blade, dual wield, or double sided. I still think this is a fantastic feature to the game because it gives you a little more ownership of your character and adds to the overall immersion and coolness. Additionally, I am glad we got to see some dismemberment when fighting the enemies. However, it does seem like it's only limited to the droids and the beasts that you fight and not actual beings. Also, there doesn't seem to be very much variation to the dismemberment specifically, not very many animation differences or ragdoll effects or anything like that. It kind of seems very limited on how that happens. Okay, now for our main concerns. First of all, from what I can deduce from the trailer and the gameplay, it still feels kind of archaic-ish style of gameplay that's attempting to be an open world when it's not. In the intro, we have a scripted voiceover as we walk into the revealing of this new planet that we're on. We use our droid to zoom in, which I think is a really cool feature, using the droid in different ways with your tools. But what I believe this moment was trying to do was tell us that, hey, look, there's an objective over there in the distance that we can get to any way you want to, as long as you follow the yellow brick road. This is definitely a personal gaming style preference, but I kind of wish that this game, being the next Star Wars game in 2023, would be more of an open world experience, but they could still surprise me. We'll see. The second point of concern that I have is with combat. From the gameplay, the combat and the flow of combat still seems a bit clunky. There were moments in both the gameplay and the trailer video that was released where the enemy blasters, the blaster bolts themselves, seem to be slowed down. I'm not sure if this was an effect of the player's abilities to slow time, but I don't think it was. This is concerning to me because it seems in their pursuit of trying to build a combat system that makes the player feel empowered by his abilities, they ended up being a bit too helpful by dumbing down the threat of the enemy and their own abilities, the enemy's abilities. Okay, real quick, so I took a second look at the gameplay specifically because there was something that was bothering me in my memory and recollection while I was reading over the script. And this is a moment specifically, this is a screen capture of IGN's gameplay release of Star Wars Jedi Survival. And I just want to show this really quickly because it's not just the blaster bolts that were slowed down that I had a kind of a problem with. It's also some of the fighting moments, and I'll show you exactly why right here. So this is a regular, ability he has to slow down time. Things just feel, I think in general, slow and heavy. Okay, here we go. Right here, this moment right here. There. And the finishing move is fine, but there's many moments like this where it's almost like it's a it feels like one of those Nintendo games. The first thing I thought of was Nintendo, one of the Zelda games, and it gives you like openings like, oh, you parried him, and then time slows down, and then you have an opening if you press a certain button, and Yeah, right there. It just feels a bit too archaic, personally. And for me, that's kind of immersion breaking. And I'd rather things be quick. I'm sure there's plenty of enemies that are difficult in the game. It's just something I don't like, how games implement this kind of mechanics into the enemies. I think it takes away from the overall immersion and gameplay. The planet looks amazing. It looks really cool. And there were some other spots that look like you can explore. Yeah, so anyways, I just wanted to show that moment specifically. Moving on. Now, before you say anything, I know what some of you are thinking. Keller, that's really small, and that's nothing really in comparison to the rest of the game. And you would be right if this was a small moment and a small thing. However, it is my opinion that, especially looking in the first game where there are moments like this and we see it being done again in the second game, it's these small moments that contribute to the overall experience, especially when it comes to the combat. And if we're talking about the first game, I didn't find it very challenging or not quite enjoyable, and for multiple reasons, but I'm trying to look at Jedi Survival strictly as its own entity and its own game, standing on the shoulders of the first one. But that being said, this is something that I wish that they could change within the game mechanics on the base level, core level of the gameplay in general. The last main point of concern I have is primarily around the story arc in general, as well as the individual characters, and I'm interested to see what they do to cause the players and us as the viewers to be invested into the characters. Personally, I would rather have the story be fantastic and bad graphics and bad gameplay, because it makes me, and I think most of us, want to figure out the story and reveal and be part of the experience by revealing the story, as opposed to having great visuals and great mechanics but terrible story. Just go here, do this, go to the next place and do the next thing. And that's where I'm concerned, is what are aspects of the storytelling aspects in Jedi Survivor compared to the lack of such in Jedi Fallen Order. And storytelling comes in many different ways, not just the cutscenes themselves, but also in the gameplay, by the combat mechanics, by the puzzles. I'm really interested to see what new puzzles that they have for us to solve, by the small details and things you pick up along the way, which is something they did great in the previous game, and I'm sure that they'll have plenty of that here as well. The performance of the stories and storylines and cutscenes is also important, the quality of what they involve in the environment, and the options they give, if any, of choice within your character to a certain situation. During the review of this video, I had to ask myself a lot, why do I feel this way about this game and why do I feel so strongly about this? And I came to realize the community that I'm involved with on Arma 3, the Starsim community, we do a lot and to try to bring an immersion and a story-driven immersion and just gameplay experience to the players and the community members that are a part of our community. If you're not aware with what that game is and what this involves, Arma 3 is a military simulator game, a sandbox really, where there's a huge community involved. If you haven't seen those videos, you can go to my channel and check some of those stuff out. But basically, there are community members and community groups that focus on, especially in this universe of things in Star Wars, there's clone units set up and we have to build missions for them. I'm one of the Zeus advisors is what we call them, and we create missions throughout the week for main operations, we call it, on the weekends. So Saturdays are usually operations that I hold, and we hold these operations from anywhere between 5 guys to 25, 40 guys at a time. If you're gamers and you know Operator Drewski, Karma Cuts, any of these guys who do group events, especially on Arma or Squad, then you know what I'm talking about. My point is, after having so much time dedicated towards trying to bring a story to the forefront and focusing on not just the action moments, but also what creates a good story, I start to see games, especially like this, in kind of a different light. Arma 3 is a game that came out in 2013, I believe, and it doesn't have the greatest of graphics, and there's a lot of bugs to fix and problems in general that won't be solved until the next version of Arma comes out. But what I found in the community is that it's, number one, the experience you have with your friends, number two, the enjoyment of a genre that you absolutely love, and number three, trying to figure out or explore new stories within that genre. And how do you explore those stories? Well, there's certain people who have to put on certain events and create narratives for your genre, for that genre that we all love. And I know that's what they're trying to do here. Also, the fact that this is another Jedi game, and I really am preferring to have a more blaster shooter game. Personally, I think it would be hilarious if my channel kind of gets to the point where it's big enough, and Star Wars Theory being a lightsaber based channel and just Guy himself, he would probably choose the Force over a blaster, and I'm the opposite. I'd prefer a blaster over the Force. I think that would be a pretty funny collaboration at some point. But anyways, all that said, if you guys are still here by the end of this video, awesome. Thank you very much for being here. Please consider to give it a like and subscribe. I am trying to build my channel and create content for you guys that's enjoyable by me, because I love this topic, just Star Wars in general. But also I want to give something new and fresh to you guys. So please leave in the comments down below of the next things that you would like to see. Head to my channel if you want to look more into the Arma 3 Star Sim community. If you want to get involved, I have videos on that on my channel. Also head to my Discord if you have any questions or you want to ask some of the other guys about what they think. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.
This comes on the advisory. We have past checkpoint Cremora, moved to OP Raccoon.
Solid copy. Reach checkpoint Cremora, moving forward to the next OP site.